English Campfire.
Imagine walking into a room where basically everyone is playing this really high-stakes game.
Right.
But you're the only one who doesn't know the rules. You can't see the board. And honestly, worse than that, the locals don't even realize they're playing.
Yeah, to them it's just Tuesday.
Exactly. It's just Tuesday. And you're constantly looking around, trying to figure out, why are people moving a certain way? Why are they speaking in this weird code?
And making decisions that just seem entirely arbitrary to you.
Right. Because you're stepping into a space with this hidden architecture. The rules aren't written down on a whiteboard anywhere.
No, they're embedded. They're embedded in the physical space itself, the social interactions, and the very specific language that everyone is using.
And the people who belong there just assume those rules are the natural laws of the universe.
They absolutely do.
So today's deep dive is all about decoding one of those strange, highly structured microcultures. We are looking at the American high school.
Which is a wild ecosystem.
It really is. But we aren't doing it from the perspective of an educator or a sociologist. Our sources today give us this brilliant narrative breakdown of this world through the eyes of Diego.
Right, our protagonist.
Yeah, Diego. He's a 16-year-old transfer student who just moved from Caracas, Venezuela, to a suburban high school in Ohio called Jefferson High.
It's a huge culture shock.
Massive. And to help us out, our sources also include this really detailed glossary that maps out the cultural and institutional vocabulary he encounters on his very first day.
Which is so crucial. Because the mission here is to really take apart that hidden architecture we were just talking about.
Right.
We want to look at the physical hurdles, the unspoken social geography, and honestly, the bizarre institutional quirks.
Oh, there are so many quirks.
So many. Just to understand what it actually takes for an absolute outsider to navigate a community that has been established for years.
Yeah, because what Diego experiences on his very first day is basically a masterclass in how communities gatekeep,
Exactly, how they sort people.
Yeah. And how exhausting it is to translate a new reality in real time. So let's just jump right into the deep end.
Let's do it.
It is 7:43 a.m. Diego walks through the front doors of Jefferson High.
The very beginning.
Yeah, and the source material hits us with this incredibly evocative sensory detail right away. The building smells like this jarring mix of industrial floor wax and someone microwaving their lunch before 8 in the morning.
Oof, yes. It's a very specific scent profile.
It really is.
And it instantly grounds you in an institutional space. It's not a home. It's a facility.
Right.
And from the very second he crosses that threshold, Diego faces what we can think of as the architecture of anxiety.
The architecture of anxiety. I love that phrasing.
It's so true, though. He's handed a piece of paper. It's his schedule. It lists 7 classes. But he doesn't have a map of the building.
Of course not.
Right. So he has no idea where room 114 is. He's just thrust out into the hallway.
And I want to focus on that hallway for a second, because calling it a corridor feels like a massive understatement.
It's not just a corridor.
Not at all. I was reading this and thinking, the American high school hallway during a passing period is basically like a high-stakes corporate networking event.
That is such a good way to put it.
But crammed into this brutal 5-minute countdown, you are not just walking to a destination.
No, you are being perceived.
Yes, by hundreds of people simultaneously.
That networking event analogy is spot on, because the hallway is ultimately, it's a high-speed social arena.
Right.
Within those 5 minutes, micro-interactions dictate everything. Social positions are established. Alliances are signaled through, who you walk with.
And outfits are totally scrutinized.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
And Diego is forced to walk that hallway twice because he is totally lost.
Oh, man. Walking it twice is the worst.
It is. He feels hyper-visible in the way an outsider desperately wants to avoid. He's trying to be invisible, but his confusion just makes him a beacon.
Which brings him face to face with what I like to call the universal first day boss fight.
The locker.
The locker. On paper, it's just this small metal cabinet assigned for personal storage.
Right, super simple.
But the real enemy, the true hurdle, is the combination lock.
Oh, yeah.
Diego's combination is 17-34-6. And the narrative specifically points out that he has to try it 5 times before that heavy metal door finally clanks open.
5 times. And, the locker mechanism is fascinating because it's a perfect example of accidental gatekeeping.
Accidental gatekeeping, right.
Yeah, the school didn't design those rotary locks to test a student's cultural assimilation. But large institutions are just full of these friction points.
Things originally designed for security or efficiency.
Exactly. And they inadvertently become these basic literacy tests for outsiders.
Right, because it's not just about knowing those three numbers. Like, you can memorize 17, 34, 6 all day long.
But it doesn't help if you don't know the motion.
Right, it requires a specific physical technique.
Precisely. You have to spin the dial right to the first number, then spin left, making sure to go completely past the first number to get to the second.
Wait, you have to go past the first number? I totally forgot about that.
Yeah. You to pass it once and then stop on it the second time, and then spin right again to the third number.
That is so unnecessarily complicated.
It really is. It requires a physical muscle memory that is rarely explicitly taught to anyone.
You're just expected to know it.
Exactly. And if you lack the physical literacy of opening a standard combination lock, the system instantly identifies you as foreign.
It's the very first test of, like, knowing how things work here.
Right. And while he's physically fighting this piece of metal in a crowded hallway, there's a whole invisible institutional system weighing on his mind, too.
Oh, right, because he has his schedule. But the sources explain he's also dealing with this incredibly abstract currency called credits.
Credits, yes. Think of credits as the underlying currency of this entire ecosystem.
Okay.
Diego isn't just attending classes. He is earning microscopic units of academic achievement that he eventually has to cash in to graduate.
But because he transferred from Venezuela, the exchange rate is a total mystery. Yes. The guidance counselor is acting as this, like, institutional architect. Or almost like a foreign exchange bank manager.
That's exactly what they're doing.
Trying to figure out if Diego's past 2 years of education even count in Ohio?
And the systemic anxiety there is just massive. I mean, before he even sits down at a desk to learn a single fact, he is burdened by the physical layout of the building,
Right.
the unwritten social rules of the hallway, and the complex, looming bureaucracy of his own graduation timeline.
He could be facing like an 18-month delay in his life plan simply because a transcript from Caracas isn't formatted the way the Ohio Educational Board prefers.
Which is terrifying.
It really is. But, you know, surviving the physical building is one thing. Surviving the social hierarchy seems like an entirely different, much scarier beast.
Oh, absolutely.
Because the physical map is eventually knowable. Like, you'll find room 114 eventually. But the social map, that is constantly shifting.
Yeah, and the transition from the physical to the social really starts in homeroom.
Right.
Homeroom is this uniquely bureaucratic concept. It's a 5 to 15-minute block to start the day.
Yeah.
There's no academic instruction.
Diego's homeroom teacher, Mr. Sullivan, is basically doing administrative triage.
Exactly. He takes attendance without even looking up from his desk.
Yeah, Diego's name is called, he says, here, and the room briefly glances at him before just going back to their phones.
And in that moment, he is officially, institutionally marked as a transfer student.
And being a transfer student in this context is brutal.
It is.
It doesn't just mean you arrived mid-year or came from a different country. It means you are arriving completely devoid of the shared social history that your peers have spent years building together.
Sometimes since kindergarten.
Right. You're a complete blank slate. But thankfully, the narrative introduces Aaliyah.
Yes, Aaliyah. Mr. Sullivan assigns Aaliyah to show Diego around.
And the sources make a point to describe her wearing a Jefferson XC hoodie.
Right, signifying she's on the cross-country team. And she carries herself with this calm expression of someone who totally understands how the system operates.
She's a local.
Exactly. And the very first thing she says to him is, "You're AP, right? Me too, follow me."
I was reading that interaction, and it struck me as incredibly blunt.
Very blunt.
Like, she doesn't ask him how he's adjusting to Ohio or what his favorite subject is or anything personal. She just says, "You're AP, right?"
Yeah.
It feels almost transactional, but the text frames it as a lifeline. Why is she leading with that?
Well, she's leading with it because AP advanced placement isn't just about rigorous academics or earning college credit.
Okay.
Sociologically, it functions as a primary sorting mechanism.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, large schools naturally sort students into distinct social and intellectual tribes. Aaliyah is instantly running a filter. By confirming he is AP, she is identifying him as part of her specific academic tribe. It establishes a baseline of ambition, workload, and social standing within that ecosystem.
Wow. But Aaliyah identifying Diego as AP doesn't just dictate, like, what books he reads. It completely dictates his physical survival at 11:15 a.m.
Yes, lunchtime.
Because once the lunch bell rings, that academic sorting turns into physical geography. Diego walks into the cafeteria.
The ultimate proving ground.
It is, completely ruled by cliques. And I want to pose a question here, actually.
Go for it.
Are cliques, these exclusive groups with really strong shared identities, are they inherently toxic, like the way pop culture usually portrays them? Or are they serving some kind of functional purpose for teenagers?
That's a great question. From a systemic standpoint, cliques are actually a vital way to manage scale.
Manage scale. How so?
Yeah, think about it. When you put over 1,000 adolescents in a single building, the sheer volume of potential social interactions is paralyzing.
Oh, totally. Just chaos.
Right. So they have to organize themselves to reduce the cognitive load. So they group by interests. The athletes, the theater kids, the AP students.
Okay, that makes sense.
It provides a necessary, manageable sense of belonging. The problem isn't that cliques exist. The problem is how impenetrable they are to someone new.
Yeah, looking at that cafeteria for Diego is like trying to cross a busy intersection where all the traffic lights are completely invisible.
Yes.
The locals know exactly when to stop, when to walk, and who has the right of way based on this unseen rhythm. But Diego is just going to get hit.
He has no idea where the safe zones are.
None. He's just standing there, frozen with his tray, unable to read the topography of the room.
And then Aaliyah appears at his elbow.
Yes. And she simply says, "Sit with us." And I love the specific detail the author includes right there.
Me too.
The text says, "It was not a question."
It's a remarkable moment of social grace, really.
It is.
Because if she asks, "Do you want to sit with us?" she forces him to make a choice, which might make him feel like he's imposing or, begging for charity.
Right. It puts the burden on him.
Exactly. By making it a command-like, a very gentle command, she grants him immediate, unquestionable immunity from the cafeteria politics.
She acts as his sponsor.
She absolutely does.
And you would think that finding a sponsor in the cafeteria, finding a safe place to eat your lunch, would mean the hardest part of the day is over.
You'd think so. You survive the social jungle.
Right. But the sources show that sometimes the formal classroom, the place where adults are actually in charge, is where an outsider faces the most baffling cultural friction of all.
And that friction peaks in the most unexpected place for Diego.
Yeah.
While the cafeteria is this wild, unstructured social space, the classroom is a highly structured institutional space. And for Diego, that clash happens in sixth period.
Spanish third.
Spanish the third, which is an elective.
Right, a class you choose to take rather than a strict graduation requirement.
Exactly.
Now remember, Diego is a native Spanish speaker from Venezuela. He has been speaking the language since before he could form memories.
Right.
So he walks into room 204 expecting it to be his one sanctuary, his one moment of absolute comfort and mastery in a day of total confusion.
But what actually unfolds is just a brilliant illustration of institutional blind spots.
It's so painful to read.
It really is. The teacher is speaking in this heavily anglicized standard Castilian accent.
Yeah.
And the class is moving painfully slow through basic vocabulary that Diego has known since he was a toddler.
So Diego does what a good, engaged student is supposed to do, right? He raises his hand to correct a conjugation that the teacher put on the board.
Yeah.
And the teacher just diplomatically but firmly shuts him down. She says, "That's an interesting variation. We follow standard Castilian for this class."
Ugh, an interesting variation.
That makes me so mad.
It is such a loaded, patronizing phrase.
It really is.
Because the system is prioritizing its standardized, rigid curriculum over the actual lived expertise of the student sitting right in front of them.
Right. The institution dictates what is correct based on a printed textbook, invalidating Diego's native fluency.
It's deeply ironic.
Yeah.
But it's a perfect microcosm of how large bureaucratic systems operate. They require standardization to function efficiently. But that standardization almost always flattens nuance and ignores reality.
It's infuriating, isn't it? I mean, if you're listening to this and you've ever had a new mid-level manager come into your company and tell you how to do a job you've been doing perfectly for 10 years.
Just because they read a new corporate management handbook?
Exactly. That is exactly what Diego is feeling in this Spanish class. His reality is being overwritten by the manual.
And in that moment, Diego learns a really harsh lesson about what a peer really is.
Oh, that's a great point. Let's talk about the glossary's definition of a peer.
Right. The glossary provided in our sources defines peers as people of the same age or status.
Okay.
But Diego's classmates are only his peers in age. In reality, the rest of the room shares years of behavioral conditioning.
Right. They know the unwritten rules.
Yes. They know the rules of this specific institution. You do not correct the teacher, and you pretend the textbook Spanish is the only valid Spanish.
Wow. So Diego has the linguistic knowledge, but in this room, his native knowledge is practically a liability.
Exactly, because He doesn't understand the cultural rules of the institution.
Right.
He has to learn to perform the institution's version of reality to succeed.
Having to fake learning your own native language just to fit into a standardized grading rubric, that is just exhausting.
Okay.
And honestly, exhausting feels like the defining theme of this entire narrative.
Totally.
As the 3:10 p.m. final bell rings, you really get a sense of the massive cognitive load required to process an entirely new world in an 8-hour window.
Because the cultural noise never stops.
Yeah.
It doesn't just end when the bell rings.
No.
Even on his way out to the buses, Diego sees a massive, colorful banner for homecoming.
Right.
Now, homecoming is a foundational, assumed part of American school culture.
Yeah, it's about celebrating returning alumni, rallying around a football game, voting for a teenage king and queen.
Right. And Aaliyah tries to quickly explain it to him in like 30 seconds as they walk through the doors.
But to Diego, it's just more bizarre, incomprehensible data being thrown at his already overloaded brain.
He's just trying to leave.
Right. Alumni. A king and queen of the school. It's like someone trying to explain the rules of cricket to you while you're running on a treadmill.
It's a great visual.
It's just noise, which really forces us to look at the word navigate.
Oh, yeah.
Right? We use that word all the time. Oh, I'm navigating a new job, or I'm navigating a tricky conversation with my landlord. But what does it truly mean in Diego's context?
Well, literally, to navigate means to find your way through an environment or across a body of water.
Right.
But in this sociological context, navigating is profoundly more demanding than just reading a map or following a path.
It means managing extreme, multi-layered complexity.
Yes.
It means relying on pure instinct when logic fails, and maintaining this exhausting state of hyper-alertness that the locals simply don't need.
Right. The locals are driving an automatic car on a freshly paved road. Diego's driving a manual transmission through a hurricane.
Exactly. And that cognitive load is exactly why the first day anywhere new leaves you completely drained.
Usually with a physical headache.
Yes. Your brain is processing thousands of micro-interactions. You're constantly assessing social threats, decoding body language, and trying incredibly hard not to stand out.
And that brings us to the quiet resolution of the day.
The bus ride home.
Yeah. Diego gets on the bus, he goes home, and he calls his grandmother back in Caracas.
Right.
And she asks him the classic loaded question, how was it?
And as he sits there on the phone, the sources tell us he processes all the fragments of the day.
Yeah.
He thinks about the metal locker combination he fought with 5 times.
The heavy AP history textbook.
The terrifying topography of the cafeteria cliques.
The patronizing standard Castilian Spanish teacher.
And Aaliyah's cross-country hoodie.
All these pieces of a strange new world.
Yeah.
And he simply says to his grandmother, I think I'm okay.
I think I'm okay. It's so understated.
It really is.
It's not this triumphant cinematic movie moment where he throws a game-winning pass or stands up on a cafeteria table and gives a speech that wins everyone over.
And that understated nature is exactly why it's so powerful.
Right.
It's an honest, quiet victory of basic human endurance. As the text notes, his statement wasn't untrue,
He didn't lie.
right? He survived the physical hurdles of the building, the social minefields of his peers, and the institutional weirdness of the administration.
He navigated it.
He didn't conquer it, but he survived it. And sometimes, just being okay at the end of the first day in a completely alien environment is the biggest victory you can possibly ask for.
It really is. Diego's story is just a brilliant masterclass in decoding the unwritten rules of a new environment.
Absolutely.
We've watched him face the physical barriers, like that seemingly impossible lock technique that accidentally gatekeeps outsiders.
Yeah.
We've seen the social barriers, like to trying to cross the invisible traffic lights at the cafeteria until he found a sponsor in Aaliyah. And we've seen the institutional barriers, from the hidden currency of graduation credits to the rigid standardization of an elective class that actively ignores his lived experience.
It serves as a powerful reminder that environments are never just physical spaces with walls, hallways, and desks.
No, they're not.
They are incredibly complex webs of shared agreements, historical conditioning, and invisible expectations.
And the truth is, we all play the role of the transfer student at various points in our adult lives.
Oh, 100%.
You don't have to be a 16-year-old walking into Jefferson High to feel this.
Yeah.
Whether you are changing careers and joining a new corporate culture, moving to a new neighborhood across the country.
Or even just marrying into a family with decades of their own Weird inside jokes and tradition.
Exactly. You are walking into a space where everyone else already knows the
You're
rules.
just an adult trying to figure out how to open the locker without looking foolish.
So we want to leave you with a thought to mull over today. Think about the community, the friend group, or the workplace you are in right now. The one where you are the seasoned local.
Right, where you know exactly how everything works.
Yeah.
What are the locker combinations or the cafeteria cliques in your world?
That's a great question.
What are those totally unspoken rules, those accidental friction points that you now take completely for granted, but that would absolutely baffle an outsider walking through your doors tomorrow morning at 7:43 a.m.?